everybody, and welcome back. It's Saturday. Welcome back to Entrepreneur Life, where we are here every Saturday and we go live, streaming on several different podcasts as well as on live on Facebook Live. We let's see, where else are we? Live on YouTube, live on Instagram. Anyway, so welcome back. It's Saturday. Oh, forget about that screen. Welcome back this Saturday. So, hey, lady.
What's going on?
Whatever. So, anyway, everybody. So, welcome back. So, I'm Rose. I'm one of your hosts here of Entrepreneur Life. Well, that's show. And hey, what's up, girl?
And I'm Shamara with SWHR Consulting, and I'm the next host with Entrepreneur Life. And we're so excited to be here today. We have a very special guest. I don't know, are you going to introduce the intros?
Talking about me. She's talking about me. I'm the guest.
No, you're not the guest. Okay, we have a very special guest. His name is Randy McGee.
Yes, Randy McGee.
And he's going to tell us a little bit about winning in the tax game, how to be the tax warrior. Give us a little bit of his backstory about being a kid, 13-year-old, and having to pay taxes already. And so he learned at a very young age what taxes is all about and how to overcome it and how to win in the tax game. So we're excited to have him be a part of the show. Randy, are you there?
I'm going to pop him up right now so people can see him.
Perfect.
What's up, Randy?
Hello, hey. How are you guys?
Hello. How are you?
Good. Great to be here. I hope I can help your viewers understand some of the things they can do to save money.
Well, I have met you before. Actually, we both have met him before, actually, at the Las Vegas, LV. Those abbreviations. LVBMM, Las Vegas, Suncoast.
The Great Mixer.
Yeah.
Mixer.
Yeah. So we have met before, networking. So you see, people where networking we get Randy here. So introduce yourself to our guest, Randy, for those who maybe not be watching live and can't see him. He'll introduce himself, tell you how you can find him, what he's about.
Well, I've been involved in taxes for over 20 years, and also business building. Really, my focus is helping my clients take their businesses and make them profitable. And one of the tools that I use, of course, is we're going to do everything we can to reduce your taxes. It's very typical for me to save a client 20% of their tax bill, which is thousands of dollars. And I mean, that just really takes a lot of stress off of them. But, in the process, they're going to have more money to be able to help their business, build their business and be more successful. And that's really what it's about, is how my clients live the life that they want to live, to achieve the goals they have. So I've been doing this for over 20 years.
So tell us a little bit about your backstory. From what we saw already or heard is that you were at 13 years old and your dad taught you a very important lesson about taxes. So tell us a little bit about that lesson and, how that kind of really helped you to understand what you're doing now and help other clients in that same space.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. When I was 12, I got a job as a paper boy. And that's back in the days when, kids could work. And on my 13th birthday, my dad and I don't have a great relationship. So his gift to me that year was a wrapped up Form 1040 EZ and the instructions. And he told me that I get to pay taxes. So his gift to me was kind of taking money from me. And I was like, I'm 13. What am I paying for roads and cops and parks and all this kind of stuff from, I was like, I run down the road, I hide in the park from the cop, and I don't want to pay for that privilege. So I was like, I don't want to give.
Are you wanted? Are you on the most wanted list, Randy?
No, I'm not. I changed a little bit, to stay within the law. But I didn't, honestly, I didn't want more cops. at the time. And so I was like, I don't want to pay these taxes. It's not fair. I'm 13 years old. And so I started studying the tax code, and I'm dead serious. Within 2 years, I was doing itemized deductions, Schedule C, Schedule D, Schedule E. I could do all of that stuff. And when I ended up in the military, that's when I really kind of realized that business was where the opportunities for tax savings that were, and these opportunities not only led to tax savings, but these opportunities led to a better financial future for the client, so that we could plan, their retirement, what their dream is. Is their dream, to retire on a Costa Rica beach? I can help them achieve that. Their dream is to have a brand new Chevy Corvette, top of the line. I can help them achieve that dream too. So that's kind of the backstory of how I got into the tax business.
So you don't just help, you help more individuals, or both businesses and individuals? And can you give some key things that maybe as we go along that they should be looking for, that they might be missing for tax advantages, that we may not see?
Yes, I do both, business and personal. On the personal side, with the tax changes, they wanted to simplify the tax code. And in the process, what they did was they just kind of took away our deductions. And so really the only deductions we have are like educational type deductions or retirement. And there's got to be it's a little tricky now with dependents. Sometimes you can get some money for what's termed an other dependent, and people are missing on that. And the educational part is really important, because you can get the American Opportunity Tax Credit, is a very good credit. On the personal side, really, we're not going to itemize very often anymore. I mean, it's very, very rare. And so this is the opportunity for people to take the little side hustle that they've had. Or, people say, oh yeah, I make this money on the side, but I don't declare it because I don't want to pay taxes on it. That's actually hurting. It's hurting.
Yeah.
If we set that business up properly for tax purposes, it will result in lower taxes. But in the same process, by setting it up and operating it properly, we're giving them an opportunity to grow that business. Why would you want to work with somebody who's going to tell you, you have to be here at 9 to 5, and this is how you have to dress, and this is how you have to act, when you be here? I'm home. I'm home now because of COVID, but I'm home all the time. I work from home. And if I want to come out, I'll tell them in my T-shirt and shorts when I meet with clients. I'll tell them, hey, today's casual day for me. They come to realize that my appearance isn't important. My knowledge up here is what is important. And so why would you want to work with somebody that's, controlling your every move, when you can be free to do the things you want to do?
So when you say that people, I'm glad you brought that up about, so all you listeners with your side hustles, because we've talked about that before, Shamara and myself, about, are you in business, or what is your purpose of having that side hustle or that side job if you're not even utilizing the benefit, what it could benefit you? Because a lot of people, like I first thought when I started, I don't want to declare that income and pay taxes on it, but tax implications change all the time. So if you can give some examples on these people who have what they call, a side hustle, doing something on the side, why it benefits them to include it and report that income, that revenue. Well,
one of the key things is we need to remember that the way the government got Al Capone was through taxes. So I only bring that up because I want people to understand the power the government has when we're talking about the tax code. They took his freedom away for the remainder of his life. And so we don't want to be dishonest. My integrity you know, if somebody came up to me and asked, you know, said, "Hey, I'll give you $1 million if you'll lie," I'm not going to do it. They can keep that $1 million because my integrity is too valuable to me. It's the thing that connects me with my clients, with my family, with my friends. And so, you know, I don't want to be dishonest on my taxes. The taxes say you have to declare this money. And so let's declare it. But what else do the tax codes say? They tell us how we can deduct expenses and what and how to set up the business. What is a deduction depends on how the business is structured. So let's take those steps. And if we can take those steps for fees this amount, but tax savings of this amount, we're saving more than we're spending. Why wouldn't we do that? We're also protecting our assets and everything that we're working for that we plan to pass on to our children. Let's protect it. It doesn't make any sense not to discuss this with me or with another professional about what your options are if you're a business owner or have a side hustle, etc.
Well, I'm glad you said this as a tax professional, because Shamara and myself, I don't know, did we not just do our last show and a few about it's all on how you set up your structure and your entity?
Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing. Yeah, I mean, and I think that's where a lot of business owners have, you know, some confusion in regards to when they are starting the business, what exactly is the right structure for their business, right? Because it's not something that, even though we can go and do the research and read all about it, I think it's so important to sit down with someone like yourself and see where you're going in the next 3 to 5 years or whatever, and structure your business based on what you recommend versus trying to guess. Because I think that's what a lot of business owners do, is just guess, okay, today I'm a sole prop, tomorrow I'm an LLC, and then I'm an S Corp. So it's just trying to get some better understanding. And I don't know if you can share some insight onto really what those steps should be before they make those decisions. Because I know it starts with a sole prop essentially, but what would be the next stages for them in terms of getting the better tax savings?
And when is the best time to make that choice? Because and because people will, I see this all the time, and I'm sure you see this too, Randy, because we're all on Facebook and we're all Facebook friends. So you see people where they will put, I'm going to be an LLC. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, just go on, some little thing and form your own LLC, because you can do it by yourself for like $100 or $200 or whatever. But you don't even know the structure of the business, and people are giving information out on social media like they're business attorneys and stuff like that, or tax attorneys.
And I'm glad that you said that, because I fell subject to that.
Yes, you did.
I did. We have someone that is a common in the circle that we know, and this person essentially does provide this type of service. And what do you call those individuals that say that they're licensed to do, create these entities, but they really may not be? I can't essentially remember. But anyway, they have this service where they can go ahead and move your business from an LLC to S Corp or whatever. But that person may not be well educated on your business, but are still putting you in those entities. And so we just want to help people avoid those kinds of people, especially if they're not in the understanding of what you do and what the right is.
Yeah, I think it's really critical. The
registered agent. Sorry, that's what it is. Registered agent.
Yeah. Registered agent is somebody that actually acts as your brick and mortar. They're the place where the client can go to, or where if the business gets sued, that business can be served with the resident agent. But the key here is when we talk about some of those online places that do business, that set up LLCs, we don't need to mention their names. The thing is that they're giving you keys to a car, but they're not giving you the car.
Right.
So the keys that doesn't do you any good unless you find that car. And of course, when we buy cars, back in the day, I'm older, and so back in the day when we went to buy a car, you used to pick: do we have power windows and power locks? Do we get power brakes? Do we get power steering? Is it automatic or is it stick? We used to have all of these options that we had to select. We still have options, you know, color and moonroof, sunroof, and these kind of things. And so when you go to these online places, all you're getting is a car. You know, it's like going into the grocery store and saying, hey, I want a gallon. And the grocery store clerk's going to say, a gallon of what? I want a gallon. Of what? Well, you're getting a gallon from those online places, but a gallon of what are you getting? Are you getting the milk or the beer or the what? You know, water. What is it that you want?
Yeah, what kind is it? Goat?
This is what
it's a good scenario that you're using.
Yeah. And so you know what I do is I don't just set them up and give them, you know, here's your legal document, and here's a binder. It's empty. Oh, here's a CD.
The binder, Shamara.
I love it.
And okay, but this client doesn't know how to operate any of that. I sit down with them and I say, you know, here's the binder, here's the forms. Let's go over the forms. Let's talk about how this possible benefit or this possible expense may apply to your situation and how we're going to make it a deduction for your business. Everybody says, hey, you know what? You can take a home office. No, you can't. It's very difficult to take a home office. My clients, every one of them take a home office, and we are 100% legitimate because we meet the 8. Look at that number. 8 requirements the IRS has in place to take the home office deduction. How many? There? No, there's
8 requirements. Wow. See?
Yes, I know how many requirements there are. I know how to get that deduction. I take all of my miles for the year, so on and so forth. I know how to take all of these things and how to do them, and I teach the client. I want them to understand. I want them to learn. And if they learn so well that they go and have somebody else do their taxes or they do them themselves, great. I'm happy. Do it. I want them to learn. I want them to sleep well at night, knowing that everything, all the bases are covered.
What are some of? Go ahead, girl.
Do you typically take that form itself and kind of, because that form can be very confusing if you were trying to do it on your own, right? And it keeps kind of updating and changing and things like that. So is it something that you kind of take and go through it with someone so that they can have an understanding of what goes where and how to handle the itemization of their expenses in their business, or how do you go through educating them on to do?
You know, can you explain the standard deduction and the itemized deduction? Some people don't understand.
Let me do the business first. What I do with the business owners is I prepare a binder for them. Now that binder, I mean, I could grab one, but I'm not going to do that. It's full of papers. And so what I do is I give my client, we go through it. So it's really a 3-step process. The client comes to me, we sit down, we discuss their business so that I can help them pick a name and these type of things. They make their deposit. Then I prepare everything and I get the binder together, and then they come and they pick it up. They pay the balance that's owed. And then we briefly go over the binder, but I send that binder home with them and I send them a video. And this video goes through the binder because there's parts in that binder that they have to actually fill out so that they've showed actual material participation in the business. This is key for the IRS. And then they read certain parts of it. And they come back to me a 3rd time with their questions. And I go over all their questions. We go over the entire binder so that they understand what is happening and how they're going to not only run their business, what information they're going to keep for tax purposes so that we can get the most deductions possible. And then I'm always at the other end of the phone. That's what I'm here for. I'm their consultant. I consult for my clients free for most of the time. Some clients have more in-depth situations that do require a small consulting fee on an annual basis. But most clients, 99% of them, don't need that. They're just I answer their questions throughout the year so that they know they're doing things correctly. Now, on the itemized personal standard deduction, a married filing joint couple gets a $24,400 deduction for standard deduction. We've got these low interest rate loans. You know, people are paying $11,000, $12,000 a year interest on their loans, on their mortgages. Well, we're not going to itemize because there aren't enough other itemized deductions to exceed the $24,000. So we're just going to take the standard deduction. The last tax change, the Trump tax code changes, were they were good for some people and they hurt other people. We all heard about the people that had to pay more. Some people paid a little more, but there were just as many people that paid a little less. All in all, more people paid the same or less because the actual tax brackets were lowered. But you know, so we really lost the ability to itemize, and so you kind of you're stuck now. Unless you have a business, you're stuck paying what you're going to pay.
What are some of the common mistakes that you see most of us as starting up business owners or even individuals do when you know, people automatically jumping into being an LLC or an S corp or a C corp and not just understanding why they're doing it? The misconceptions.
Well, I all the time I see people set up an LLC and they continue to file Schedule C, which, yes, 1065 is an LLC, the business form, and that does go to Schedule C on the personal return. However, most people are just filing it directly on Schedule C. They're not using Form 1065. Therefore, they're not getting any of the business deductions that are allowed or given to an actual LLC structure. And so they're losing deductions by just going straight to the Schedule C. That's one. Two, when you set up an LLC, you can elect to be treated as an S corporation, which then we file Form 1120S, and there are some really good advantages to doing that. But again, it depends on situation. I can't stress enough to everybody listening, your situation is specific, and how
thank you for saying that.
Yeah. It's so true. Your situation is specific to you, and how we apply the tax code, how we apply expenses, how we apply everything that can be done from a business standpoint, how we apply that is specific to you and your goals. It really is true. And, you know, when I consult with people all day, every day for free, why wouldn't you give me a call? Why wouldn't you check out to see what I can do to help and do that for free? I mean, it just doesn't make sense not to.
We have said that numerous times about your business entity is so different from the next person. And I bring up this example because people will give out tax advice and business advice and they're not even credentialed. Just like, you know, I have a lot of advice, but it's like, I'm not an HR person. I can tell you about it, but I can't do it. And I can tell you that if you rob a bank, you're going to go to prison, but I'm not an attorney to know if I can get you a break. You know what I mean? In less time. So basically, we tell people your business is like no other. So don't go to your friend because they did something else and go, well, I was able to, you know, write this off, or this is what my tax person did, or this tax person got me, a lot of money back. That doesn't mean it's specific to your business.
That's true. The thing is everybody hears, you know, oh, well, I'm a nurse and my uniform is deductible. That's incorrect. Your uniform may be deductible, maybe has to be in there. And it's how you go about doing things that determines whether or not that uniform is deductible. It's really that simple, but it's also that difficult because it takes somebody like me or you guys who understand how we go about making these possible deductions actual deductions.
Well, I'm going to throw Shamara under the bus right now, because when I first met Shamara, someone told her that she can deduct getting her hair done and stuff, going to events, and her clothes. And I was like, what?
Very, very true. That's why I say that person that we know in close proximity told me, told me these things. And, again, not knowing, because I'm starting my business, I'm more focused on HR because that's where my primary abilities and skill set is at, is not in taxes. I don't understand that enough. But yeah, that was one of the things that was told to me. So here I am willing to save my receipts for all of these clothes and hair and nails and all these types of things. And so, I mean, not knowing that that's not really a true deductible, yeah, I definitely fell subject to that.
And people are writing off stuff like they're networking and thinking, well, I bought that because I had a meeting with somebody or went to lunch with a client. And I've heard that, I'm like, no, you can't do that. But like you said, that nursing, it depends. Your structure, how it's set up.
Yeah, it really does. I have had a client that she'd do the tanning, she'd do the fancy hair, the fancy expensive makeup, and the fancy clothes. And, she actually got to deduct them. Now, in her specific situation, she worked on a cruise ship, and she modeled jewelry. So they're going on these high-end cruises, and she modeled all these, diamond necklaces and blah, blah, blah. And so she was the model. So did she get to deduct those expenses? Absolutely, she got to deduct those expenses because she had to look good in order to help convince these people, to buy a $10,000 diamond bracelet or whatever.
Right.
And so, I mean, again, it's the circumstances. And so even, with Shamara, could some of those deductions be actual legitimate deductions? Yes and no. If you're set up right, if you have the right resolutions, determines what the benefit is to the company,
right?
To pay this money to you, the employee, and then with that resolution, that expense within reason is a legitimate deduction. So, I mean, it really is. That's why the binder is so critical. And these online places are doing a real disservice. People are stepping in that right direction. And for those people that are listening or watching, if you've made that step and you're just like, hey, what do I do now? Reach out to me. I can help you. And of course, my fees are reduced because I'm not setting up the actual LLC. We're going to get you the most bang for your buck that we can. And I will teach you how to run that LLC.
So is there essentially a number that someone needs to be at in terms of earnings for their business that they should at that point transition to an S Corp? I mean, say they were an LLC this entire time, then they hit a certain number, and now they need to make themselves an employee of the company so that they can get those tax deduction as an S Corp. What does that actually look like? Is there a number specifically, or they can just make that transition and hope that they can pay these taxes and get a deduction? I mean, I think that's kind of some of the confusion on what that looks like when you're ready to make the transition.
Yeah, and again, I hate to say this again, but everybody's circumstance is going to help determine that. And there's reasons why. We all know what the earned income credit is. Mm-hmm. But you only get that when you have earned income. So if we take your business and make it a S Corp, you no longer have earned income unless you're paying yourself, which you're required to do. And so, again, this is all how we're managing the company. But for your secret dollar amount, I do have an amount. The secret amount is basically $12,000. When you have $12,000 of net earnings, that's when it is important to come to someone like me or you guys for us to really be able to say, here we go. This is what we want to do.
No, don't come to us.
Yeah, because we go refer them.
I'm just saying.
Well, then have them
We're
come
just
to
gonna
you and
say,
refer
we
to
got
me.
a great tax guy that can help you out with that.
Yep, that's it. But I mean, you know, Rose is involved in bookkeeping, and so that's
Yeah,
the essential part of this. So many people,
Right.
you know what I mean, for very, very small businesses, I have ways of helping them to do their own books within reason. There comes a time very quickly, you know, where, and again, if we set a dollar amount, you know, that dollar amount can be $30,000, $40,000, where I'm like, you have got to get a bookkeeper. And they get, when they get a bookkeeper, they get my best rates. They can save themselves hundreds of
Oh
dollars
my gosh.
to me.
It's so
And-
funny you say that.
And then,
Because
you know,
I say that.
spend that money out with Rose, you know, to help keep track of that stuff. I mean, you know, they've got their own thing. I'm a massage therapist, or I do nails, or I do hair, or, you know, I'm in construction, whatever it is. That's what your focus is.
Right.
You're not, those people aren't trained to do books or taxes or run companies, or to do HR. You know, you get to a higher level. Here's the goal. Come to me. We'll start the savings. Pretty soon that person needs Rose. We're going to grow the savings, and pretty soon that person needs Shamara, and we're going to even grow the savings more. Now they're no longer working. That's the goal. I don't want to work. I want to pay people to work for me.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is something that we share because we talk about it. Always ends up going back to how you have set up your entity and what you're doing as you move along, and what's your 3 to 5 year plan. Because even though we sometimes meet clients, we're like, you know, you're not ready for us right now. Let us help direct you, because you need to get that setup established first. So not everybody that comes to me, I'm like, well, let me kind of show you. I don't think you're ready for me, but at that point, I'm going to help along the way until you're ready. And then I tell people, you know, if you have a good bookkeeper that's doing your books decent, it's going to help you when it comes to getting that tax return, because then the CPA will be able to look at it, your tax attorney or whoever, they'll be able to say, okay, your books look pretty clean. That bookkeeper, if they're following Get Printable, they have everything I need. Everything should be where it needs to be. They might need to tweak it. They might say, okay, you know, Rose, I have CPAs that'll tell me, I want you to make some changes because I see that their revenue is increasing. They're duplicating sales. They need to save some money. We need to have them make pre-tax payments. They'll advise me to make the end of the year tax return more lucrative and so much better.
Right.
It's so funny you say that too, Rose, because man, we work with clients as well that jump into hiring people before they even get their books cleaned up to even know if they have the money to hire someone. And then they have to go back and start from scratch to then go back to Rose to clean up their books, let go the people that they had already on staff because they didn't have enough money. And it's just kind of been like that back and forth type of thing that we've kind of encountered with some of the clients that we worked with. So it's interesting that you say that, Rose, because that is the starting point. And we always stress to people that we work with, is like, you need to have a bookkeeper in the beginning. Like, that's who you need to have, that stage squared away so you know where your money's at in order for you to grow your business. But sometimes
I have a question. We have a question. Can you see that on the screen from Dee Melville?
Yes, I can. And I love that question. I love that question because it is so spot on. I do not recommend that they LLC before they begin making money. As a matter of fact, I'll look at their specific situation and say, you know, here, if we set you up in an LLC on December 31st, that LLC is retroactive to January 1. So it's good for the entire calendar year.
Wow.
So why would we set it up on January 1 and say we spend X amount of dollars? You know, I mean, I've heard people charging, you know, the online places are like $1,000. I've heard people locally charging $2,000 or more. Why would you spend that money on January 1? Why not just wait till December 31st? And do we need to spend that money? Then we spend that money. Of course, I don't recommend waiting until December 31st. I recommend waiting until after the school year has started. and everything's settled down, we're usually into October. So I tell my clients, when you're putting up Halloween decorations, that's the time to come see Randy. And,
that's a great question.
We look at making that choice.
So, of course, if any of you have any questions, you know, while Randy is here, while we have him, and of course, go ahead and put it in the room, and we will make sure he sees that for you. Thanks a lot. I appreciate your answering that for her. And yes, so now, do you only take local clients? Do you take clients like virtually? Do you consult virtually? You know, how does that work for you? Or just people just have questions because, you know, we can't answer all of them, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's one key. You mentioned like CPAs. I want to kind of just to answer that question. I want to talk a little bit about the difference between what I am, an enrolled agent, and a CPA. CPA is an accountant. He went to school for accounting, bookkeeping. CPAs don't have not 1 hour in their classes is on actual tax preparation. They do have classes on payroll, which is taxes, a form of taxes, but they don't have training on actual tax preparation. I went to school with the IRS. I don't work for the IRS. I went to school with the IRS and learned nothing but representation, the tax law, and tax preparation. I'm an enrolled agent. I took a 3-day exam called the C exam. It is to tax preparation what the bar is to an attorney. So I proved to the IRS and received their highest certification they have, which is enrolled agent. So now then, what was the other part we were talking about?
For transitioning from, you know, when was the best time to transition? I think I had, you know, some people will start off right away. And I think you answered that about being an LLC or when to become an S Corp or a C Corp. But, you know, I did have a question. So as an LLC, some people assume that, oh, if I'm an LLC, I'm just protected. That means you can't sue me and that's it. I can do whatever I want. And that's how it works.
No,
that's a good one. That's a good one.
There's certain things that have to be done. That LLC has to be run in an appropriate manner in order to get that asset protection. And again, that's part of that whole training program that I give that client when they come to me and we go through the process of setting up that LLC, or if they've already got an LLC set up, where we set up their binder. And then I teach them what steps they need to take to protect themselves and their personal assets from lawsuits. It's called inside outside. So we don't have problems that happen in the company affecting you personally, and we don't have personal problems affecting or taking money from the company. So it's very important that we have that binder set up correctly.
Now, can you understand when people don't understand about putting themselves, taking a draw, which I explained, on the difference of a draw, the difference of a distribution, you know, when they're set up like shareholder, you know, distribution, putting yourself on payroll?
Yeah, it's very key. A lot of the deductions or expenses that the company is going to take are going to be employee benefits. Well, if you're not an employee of your company, you can't take those deductions. And so we have to pay you money. If you go into an audit and let's just say you make $200,000 a year, but you expense off $100,000 a year and $100,000 in a district, the IRS say no. Are you actively in your company? If the answer is yes, then the IRS can turn that $100,000 subject to payroll taxes, which will take 15% of that, or 15 grand plus penalties and interest. And then they're going to go to the previous year and the year before that and the year before that. And so they could take hundreds of thousands of dollars from you. So it's very key to understand that, yes, we need to pay yourself, but we're going to pay yourself as little as we legitimately can. And there are tools that I use to determine what is a correct amount to pay this person that is running their business, whether it's, whatever it is, construction or whatever business they have. And so all of these things get answered in that process as we go through setting up that binder.
So for everybody who's listening and tuning in, so we did have Dee ask where can she get in touch with Randy. So we are going live on Facebook, as well as, like I said, LinkedIn and YouTube, as well as we are on several different podcasts streaming at the same time. So for those who can't see it, just for all of our guests to get in touch with them to find out where they are, you can go to entrepreneurlife.show. You can watch the video, hear the podcast continually 24/7. Go to 702.5 Live Radio, and it will always be there. And of course, before Randy leaves today, he's going to also let you know where he can find you. But just in case you miss it, just go to entrepreneurlife.show, and it's always going to be there. So, and that was from Dee. She was asking where she could find you. And thank you so much, Wendy. She said it's a lot of really great information. If anybody else has any questions, of course, feel free to jump in and ask. We will put it up for Randy. So for those of you who may have missed and came onto the show late, if Randy doesn't mind, kind of just giving a little summary about himself so you'll understand what the show is about today. And just a little bit about Randy again and how he got started and how he started his venture into the tax game.
Yeah, sure. I got started when I was 12. I had a job as a paper boy. When I was 13, my dad gave me for my birthday, which is in February, Form 1040-EZ and told me I had to pay taxes. And long or short was I didn't want to pay taxes. I was 13 years old and I didn't feel like that was my responsibility. I was a child, not an adult. And so I started learning about taxes. Now that's been about 40 years since that all occurred. And I have been learning taxes over that 40-year period. I've been doing them for 40 years, but the last 20 years have I been doing, actually 21 years have I been doing them professionally. And in that process, I went to school and learned about, I became an enrolled agent. And so I learned the taxes, but I also learned about businesses. So I learned about business structure and became a certified business consultant so that I could help my clients set up and manage their companies or corporations in an appropriate manner to get not only tax savings, but to help that business become successful. So it isn't just about taxes. It's really about helping my clients become successful in all aspects of their lives and achieve that goal that they have. We all talk about, we have our dream goal for our life, whether that's retiring on the beach of Costa Rica or, traveling the world or owning a fancy car, whatever that goal is, we plan their situation to help them achieve that goal. One of the key things is everybody plans. We plan our education, we plan our family, we plan marriage, we plan all the important things in life. Well, why don't we plan to succeed in our business? Why don't we plan to save on our taxes? Why don't we plan to make sure that we achieve the retirement goals that we have? And this is what I do, is I help them in all of those areas. And many times I'm referring them out to certified financial planners. I know some incredible people that can really help my clients, so on and so forth, as I have those connections. So I'm hoping people will really reach out to me and say, hey, I want that, whatever that is. I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to grab it by reaching Randy.
Let's talk about, because you said retirement, let's talk about exit strategies in your succession plan, because people just don't do it. And it's like, you don't think of.
Back to the planning is that it's like, okay, we're in the business day to day, but we never think about, when it's time to take that exit, what does that look like? So.
And you may not even be prepared to make the exit. You could get like COVID right now. You could be ill. What's going to happen? Have you even established an exit strategy? What happened to the employees? What happened to their 401ks that were in place? You know, with payroll, PPO payroll, or your inventory to loans. You know, what happened to the business? I don't give it. You know, whatever happens, happens. But it is important because that's part of your, not just retirement, anything could happen. And using this situation, for example, that we are in right now.
It's perfect. It's a perfect example.
Yeah, it's very important that, you know, we use the term CYA. You know, we're going to cover all our bases.
Right.
And we're going to use the other word.
Right.
But that's, again, all part of that planning process. And it's going to be specific to the individual, to their goals, and to what their business is and how they're wanting to operate it. It is so very important that we look at those things. You know, do you want to just run this business until you pass on, and then now you're not there and the business just goes under? You're leaving nothing to your kids. We don't want to do that. We want to be able to pass something on to our kids and our grandkids that are going to make their lives better. So there's planning for that. And again, it's going to be very specific about what we do. There's all kinds of insurance coverages and protections that we can get at very low rates for situations like COVID. And I'm not talking about health insurance coverage at all. I'm talking about key man insurance, or I'm talking about those type of things, disability insurance. There's many things that we can get, umbrella policies. We can get these coverages at much lower rates than what people would think. And for that protection, it absolutely makes sense, especially when we're just going to take that expense and we're going to deduct it as a business expense. And then we're going to save, you know, 22 or 30% of that money in taxes. So it costs you even less money when all of that happens. So it is very important that we consider everything, the life of the business. It's not just today, but I'm looking at what we're going to do tomorrow, next year, and 10 years down the road. What is the end goal with this business? It's very important.
I'm happy that you say that, because that's what we really talk about in our show. You know, we try to give people some really good tips in just planning. And again, you jump into a business because that's your goal, your ambition, you have these dreams, but we never think about like the what ifs, right? Like, especially right now, what if, like, what is going to happen with your business? And so, as you can see, a lot of companies are really going through a rough time right now because they may not have planned for something like this. So it's interesting that you say that, because that's kind of what we all talk about. So thank you.
Yeah. And it's nice to have it sometimes confirmed. So really, so aside from, you know, of course, now in your business consultations, putting aside the tax planning portion of it, can you give an idea of what people can look forward to and saying, hey, you know, if I called you today and said, you know, I need some help, some direction. I don't know if I've got everything done correctly, or maybe not, or how would they get started? What is your step-by-step process?
And then what if you did do that conversion and work with a third-party company like that, but never got a binder?
Yeah.
What do you do at that point? Do you start over? Like, do you work with yourself to like figure it out? Because there's those things that happen. Never get a binder.
Right. I can. Okay. Let's see. The first question.
No minutes. No, sorry. You don't get no minutes, no nothing. But let me go ahead. We're talking about somebody. That's why, but it's okay.
So the first client, I'm all about come meet with me. I don't charge until I actually do work. I've had many clients come in and sit down with me for an hour, 2 hours, and we discuss what we're going to do. And then they, at the end of the day, they pull their checkbook. What do I owe you? And here's the number I give them every dollar. And it's not 3. That number is 0. I don't charge until I actually do work. If a client has questions, and you know what, I'm happy if you come to me and you've been doing your own 1065 or 1120S or whatever. Come to me and we'll sit down and we'll review it and we'll discuss all the ramifications of the choices you're making and what you may need to do to improve. You know, if I can help them save money on taxes, that's just great. I will tell them what they can do to save on taxes and shake their hand and wish them luck and let them go on their way, if that's what they want. If they want to work with me, then I will, again, I'll do the same thing, but then I'm going to give them that comfort level of them knowing a professional who's educated and highly experienced in this field is working on their taxes. So I can't stress enough. People, reach out to me. Let's talk about your situation. We can talk over the phone. You can come to my home office and we'll look at your specific situation and discuss what is going to be best for you. And if you have a LLC corporation set up and you didn't get a binder, and you really don't know what's going on, then please, again, come to me and we'll discuss the situation. We'll talk about, do you need that binder? Your situation. In most cases, absolutely, you need that. And we'll talk about how much that's going to cost and what you're going to get for it. When I tell my clients that I'm free, I really am. All day long, I save my clients more just in taxes than what my fees are. That's not even talking how I'm helping them build and grow that business and become more successful. It's not talking how I'm helping achieve their retirement goal or any of these other goals, that they get all of that free. So I really am free. Why don't you reach out to me?
Well, I just wanted to say for everybody who's listening, I mean, this is some really great stuff. And I hope that you guys really watch it again on the replay if you are, didn't get to watch it live or hear it on one of the podcasts we're on. But it's so important to take in the information as well as understand being honest about your business and not being embarrassed. It just seems like small business owners are afraid to, or I'm finding to really be the real. Like what's really happening with their business, because they're embarrassed, because maybe it's not to be embarrassed because you don't have a brick and mortar. Not everybody needs to be a brick and mortar, or because you've made bad decisions. It's about turning it around and getting it right and getting right back on track.
Yeah, if you're not sure, if you're feeling uncomfortable, if you're feeling stressed about that, come talk to me. And, if I help you feel better about what you're doing, and it costs you nothing, and you don't need my services, hey, I feel really good having helped that person feel better. I really am. It's really about helping the client. That is the most important focus of my business, is helping that client make sure that they're doing what's right for them and their situation.
Now, for me, a lot of us, because we're not tax people, how do we know how to look for the right consultant or a tax person, like questions that they can ask? If they're all over, let me tell you, taxing everybody and their mama and their grandkids is doing taxes on tax season. I'm just saying, look for the real. And everybody is a coach. Everybody's a business coach, because they have 13 businesses. They have business coach, and I'm not being disrespectful, but it's the truth. And so people are on social media, and I see all the time people giving advice, and I don't want to make myself look bad, but I want to jump in and be like, did you just check out their profile? And Shamika's selling hair weaves too, and she's a tax person, and selling donuts on tax season. And then Robbie is a business coach, but he's on his Harley, drinking beer, and he ain't got nothing about being a business coach all year long. I mean, I'm just talking on the serious. Why
you gotta call these people out, Lord?
But it's true. And I don't want to say anything because I'm like, I bad somebody say something bad about me and be like, she don't know what the hell she's talking about. But it's true. I'm just, y'all know who you are. What questions? I guess it's hard to say to look for the right person. Like, what kind of research can they do or ask? Like, to know, do they really know their stuff? You can have good, reviews all the time. You can just have your mama and everybody put reviews on your site and say, oh, they do great stuff. You know what I'm saying? How do you know?
Right. I think one of the things is, you know, when we hear some of these people that are business coaches and they say, oh yeah, you know, I've started up and managed 12 businesses. And I'm like, how many are you managing right now? Well, I don't have any of them anymore. I'm like, why don't you have them anymore? So where'd the business go? Did it fail? Did it succeed? Did you sell it? You know, that type of, I've started up, managed one business of my own. It's the one I have now. It has not failed. It will not fail. I will not sell it. I will pass this on to my children, just the one business. And so I've never had any businesses fail on me. But so the questions that you would ask the person, I guess it's kind of, you know, you talk with them, you'll get a feeling. I guarantee you come to me and you talk with me, I'm going to explain things to you. And I'm not trying to rip my clients off and nickel and dime them for every little thing. I don't want to be their resident agent. I don't want to be it. They can be their own resident agent.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that, because that's exactly what was happening. People are so true. You're ripping people off and saying that that's not something that you can do on your own. Like, again, this is just from personal experience here where, you know, that has occurred. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you can be your own resident agent. You can do your own meetings every year. Tax-wise, how many people have a tax professional that they go to and they take their information to him, they hand it to him, and then he calls when it's done and they sign, pay, and that's it? That's not the way we do taxes, not in my business. I'm asking questions. I want to know about this and that and the other thing. I'm learning about what the client's goals are, what they are trying to achieve, what they want to do, so that I can apply the tax code to their situation, so that I can get them every dollar savings that I possibly can. So it's really asking the questions. What's important to you when you're talking about your business? What is important to you? Calling those people and saying, hey, asking that question. If they'll take the time and answer your questions on the phone, then you probably got somebody that you want to go meet with. I will do that, and anybody of real value will do that. If they don't have the time for you when they're trying to win your business, they don't have the time for you when they have your business.
You know what? I'm so glad you said that, because I have said that so many times, to where how do you give someone to do your taxes who knows nothing about what you've done all year, and that you haven't even checked in? And it's the same as even like with your bookkeeper. I say, if your let me tell you, I have clients that I get on their damn nerves. I ain't gonna lie, and I know because they tell me. So because I ask a lot of questions and they get annoyed. And I'm like, what is this? You know, what you spend? It doesn't look like it's designed for your type of business, your entity. And so it's the same as if that tax person isn't asking you questions and they're just ready to do your tax return in 10, 15 minutes, but you ain't talked to them all year long.
Right.
That's a problem for me.
I mean, but that's the majority. That's the majority of what people do, though. I mean, individual taxes, you kind of understand, you know, it's a kind of one and done. But businesses, that should never be the situation. You should have somebody that's working with you, you know, long term. You know, get that established trust get that relationship going, and have that person long term as your business grow, because they're gonna know what to do next. But a lot of businesses don't do that at all. So thank you for that.
Yeah, very, very important that person is asking those questions. And I love it when my clients come to me and they're asking me questions. The more questions, the better, because that tells me that they're thinking about this. Really, when I prepare their taxes or help them build their business, it's a partnership. I'm working with them. They have to be actively involved in that process. When they are, then we're able to find stuff out. And you know, when they're asking those questions on the taxes, then it helps me to not only clarify it for them, which is very important. I want them to be 100% comfortable, but it also helps me find deductions for them because they're actively thinking about that.
Can you tell business owners about the benefit of actually hiring people? People often say, well, you know, what do I get in return for hiring, you know, employees?
Well, if it's done right.
If it's done right, what did they say? What did he say, Shamar? Go ahead.
If you lead your employees right. Now, I don't want to use the word manage because that's not what we want to do. We don't manage our employees. If you're an employee and you're managed, you're hating your job.
Right.
But if you have a supervisor that leads you, then you like to go to your job because you're being treated really well in that circumstance. And so is hiring employees the goal? I think that it is. My goal is to grow my business to the level that I can hire people. I really and I'm going to make money off of what they do, but I'm also going to pay them very well for what they do so that they're happy. A happy employee doesn't have problems. A happy employee grows your business and helps your business become successful. And so those are the type of things that I look at. Is that the ultimate goal? Again, it depends on the person. The person may just be, hey, you know what? I love tinkering with cars. My business is I'll take a car, I'll fix it up, and I'll sell it. And
I mean, it's very beneficial to hire employees. It's very beneficial to get to that point because of the, you know, you can utilize those deductions. And even when it comes to the insurance, you know, I tell people, they say, well, I can't afford health insurance for my employees, but there's HSA plans and life insurance and still things that you can utilize depending, again, on your entity setup and how you can utilize those benefits, those deductions. So don't just look at it because you're paying a portion of the insurance or, you know, because of you're paying your quarterly tax liability, what the benefit is at the end of the year.
Yeah, exactly. There's a big benefit, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you. Go ahead.
People, so treat them good, and they're going to treat you good. That's really the whole key. Is take care of all of those things, do all of those things for them, and it'll be to your benefit.
Well, thank you so much for being on our show today. We are so excited to have you on the show and sharing some great information. And what did you say? Winning the tax game, right? So just before you go, we just wanted to ask you to share your information and how they can get a hold of you so that, you know, they could reach out.
Okay, if you want my phone number, the business line, and it goes straight to voicemail because I'm always with clients. They can leave a message at 702-822-1130. Or better yet is to reach out to me by email. And that's really simple. It's randy@taxandincomewarrior.com. And my email is it's randy@taxandincomewarrior.com because I fight for my clients.
So I want to say that everybody else who is listening on all of your favorite podcasts, again, thanks for always returning and supporting our show, entrepreneurlife.show, and who are watching us and streaming live on, you know, YouTube or Facebook or something like that. Thank you so much. Make sure that if you guys want to see past shows, go to entrepreneurlife.show. All of our past shows will be there. All the podcast platforms we are on will be there. You can see all the guests, how to get a hold of all of our guests. What else? And you can check me out, you know, my fabulousness. So
yeah, you know, we try to clean up as much as we can during this hard time. But thank you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in. We enjoyed you, Randy. Thank you for being a part of our show. And have a good day.
Bye, everybody. See you next Saturday. Out. Peace.